The Cowboys are the scariest wildcard team, and it's not even close. There's still an outside chance that they can win the NFC East, but I wouldn't bet on the Eagles losing out, even if Gardner Minshew is at the helm. They have a top 10 defense and a top 5 offense, with elite talent all over the field. I want to go over why I think they could finally represent the NFC in the Super Bowl again. Like and subscribe, and let's get into it. This Cowboys team has made it to 12-4, and if they play all their starters in the final game, will likely finish 13-4. You have to go all the way back to 2015 for 13 wins to not be at least tied for the first place in NFC. They should have home field advantage and a bye, but instead will likely be traveling to either Carolina or Tampa in the wildcard round, two teams that will be below 500. I don't see this iteration of the Cowboys losing to either of those teams, and I'll get more into their path to the Super Bowl at the end. When talking about the roster, we have to start with the best draft pick this organization has possibly ever made in Micah Parsons. There were concerns off the field with him coming out of college, but genuinely, there is no organization more cut out to handle a player with those circumstances than Dallas. He has in just 2 seasons turned into a top 3 pass rusher in the league who does more than just rush the passer. He's lifted this defense from 28th in the league the year prior to his arrival to 7th, to currently sitting in 6th at the time of this recording. Now there's other elite talent on that side of the ball in Trayvon Diggs and DeMarcus Lawrence. However, this team has had talent on that side of the ball before and not produced. Dan Quinn has experience with elite defenses in the past, looking back at the Legion of Boom in Seattle. He uses his elite talent to the best of their ability and puts them in situations to defense wins championships, even in this high-octane offense version of the NFL. The Cowboys are 6th in the league in points allowed and 13th in yards allowed, so teams are moving the ball against them a decent amount, but once they get inside the red zone, they're not converting into touchdowns at a high rate. The Cowboys are 15th in the league in opponent red zone touchdown percentage at 54. This team has a lot to be excited about on this side of the ball, but it's not even their strength compared to the rest of the league. Let's look at the offense led by Dak Prescott. It currently sits at 3rd in the league in points. They have a top 10 quarterback, a top 10 wide receiver, a top 5 offensive line, and a really good running back core. The best part about the offense this year is they've started to use Tony Pollard more, and he's producing. Dallas is top 10 in yards per game as well. The team is moving the ball effectively, setting themselves up to score. But the most impressive stat is that they're number 2 in the league in red zone touchdown percentage, sitting at nearly 71%. That means if you let them get to the 20-yard line, they're probably punching it in. Play calling and execution together are needed to be this successful. That percentage is better than any team in the league last year. If they can keep that up in the playoffs, they'll be tough to stop. The other most important category that the Cowboys are dominating in is the turnover margin. They're number 1 in the league in turnover margin per game. When you can turn other teams over and take care of the ball when you have it, then you're likely to win most games. So let's look at their path to the Super Bowl. They just beat the Eagles, even though it was with Gardner Minshew, and they stomped the Vikings 40-3 earlier this season. They did lose to Tampa, but that was week 1 and feels like a fluke at this point in the season. They didn't get to play San Francisco, but that feels like it would be a good game. So if the season ended today, Dallas would travel to Tampa to play the Bucs. They've been struggling offensively, and as we've already mentioned, the Cowboys have a top defense, so I don't see that changing. It would likely be a victory for Dallas if they can get 21 points, which seems like a lock. They'd then advance to the divisional round to play either the Eagles or probably Minnesota, depending on how the other wildcard games went. The most likely scenario is San Francisco winning and Minnesota winning, which means Dallas travels to Philly. If Jalen Hurts is healthy, he gives them a good chance, and playing in Philly in January will be tough for sure. But Dallas seems to be heating up while Philly is trying to stay healthy and desperately hold on to first place. The playoffs are all about who gets hot late, and I think Dallas's defense would be what gives them the win. They would then go to San Francisco because we all know Minnesota is a fake, and it comes down to 2 dominant defensive lines trying to stop the other team's run game. I like it to be a 21-20 type game where anyone can win. But the whole point I'm trying to make is, this team is built different than the media-hyped Cowboys teams of the past. I think they're truly a contender and getting hot at the right time. I don't believe in Mike McCarthy, and perhaps he'll be the downfall of their season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're playing in Arizona this February. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see y'all next time.